So hi, welcome to Good Noise Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm Glory.
And we're here with
Andrew from Afterlife.
And we're going to ask him some questions today. I'm going to start. So what inspired the creation of the band, and what does the band name mean?
Well, the creation of the band, we actually were, me and Tyler and our drummer were in another band before called Every Passing Dream. And we wrote a new CD and it just didn't make sense for Every Passing Dream. So we were like, we just got to rename this and rebrand it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we switched to Afterlife, and we had a real cool putting to rest the old band and starting the new band video that brought the whole band in. And the name is just honestly, we were trying to figure out a name for 6 months, and we couldn't land on one that everyone liked or land on one that was even decent. And just one day Tyler was like, what about Afterlife? And we were just like, that sounds pretty good. And that was it. That was really it. And we took a lot more meaning behind the name once we made the transition into the new band and everything like that. But at the time it was man, that sounds cool. So
yeah. All right. Do you remember any of the other names that you had floating around?
Not off the top of my head. I'd have to go back and look, but they were all pretty bad. So it wasn't even close.
That's fair, right? So congratulations on your upcoming album, Part of Me. How do you felt the response to the singles so far?
Well, the response has been insane for the singles so far. It's a night and day difference from our first CD. Obviously we had a full year of touring. We toured all of the US multiple times. We went to Europe and everything. So that definitely helped grow our natural fan base before we started releasing new music. But the reception to the singles, it's just each single, consequently the reaction was just better and better and better so far. So it's been a ride so far. We're very excited for the record to come out, and I think the whole record is just a very unique experience in its own. So I'm excited for that.
Burn It Down has been on a loop since it came out. It's so good. And the album was very good too, but I only got that last night. So
have you guys heard the whole album?
Yes. It was too short. That's my review.
Short?
Too short. I wanted it to be longer.
It's a good review. Yeah.
Okay.
Give us bonus tracks.
Yes.
Basically. Yeah.
We have a couple that may end up coming out at a later time.
Okay.
But our biggest thing with the band is that when we put out something, it has to be something that we are 100% over the moon about.
Yeah.
So if a song's not there, we will never I,d a filler song, if that makes sense. I'm sure you've listened to records before where the first 4 songs are amazing, and then the middle 3 are whatever. And then
why is this here?
Yeah, exactly. And then you get to the last song and you're this is the best song on the record. And people are why is this last? We don't like to do that. And that's a huge thing that we've always been very adamant about with us and our producer. So that's why you got 10 songs.
Yeah, I could tell it was just banger after banger the entire record. So
there was no filler.
Yeah. I'm not disappointed in that front, and there were no slow songs. So I was glad about that too.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting take there, because I wouldn't have expected that one. But no, I definitely agree. It's just the whole record, even down to the track listing, how it rolls through the CD. I just feel it's a very different experience. And I know it sounds very cliche for a band to say, but I don't know. It's just every song just has its purpose on the record, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So is there any meaning behind the album name or the cover art?
So I don't know if you guys know this, but Tyler actually made the cover art completely himself.
No idea.
That is all from scratch. He made it all himself. And we went through a couple different designers that we work with all the time, and it just wasn't clicking. The idea we had was the whole idea was a collage, because the record's called Part of Me. So we wanted to have different items of things that represent the whole. And we worked with a couple different designers, went through multiple revisions, and we were just it's just not right. And Tyler made this one night at his house and was just he was just do you guys think this is cool? And we were all it's pretty cool, but it'd have to be refined more. And he met up with our photographer actually, and like they put it together and like took really good photos of it. And it's just, I don't know, it was very important. But there's a lot of meaning behind the name of the record, and the way that if you listen to the songs, you listen to the lyrics, you notice that there's like a lot of different emotions going on in the record, and a lot of things that mean a lot, I guess you could say. And it's like the whole little mantra that we've had is like, part of me is loss, part of me is grief, part of me is depression, part of me is anxiety, and it just comes together as a whole. And that's what you're made up of. It's a bunch of little things that are all a part of you that make you who you are.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really sick. Yeah. And how long did that take to come together? How did that click for you guys?
Like the whole like essence of the record, or the record itself? The
essence of the record.
Okay, so we were trying to figure out a name for the record for a while, and we were like toying with like, is it cliche to just use a song name as the title of the record? And we were like, are we at the point in our careers where we could just self-title it? Because that's what we were thinking for a little while, and we're like, maybe not yet. So when we were like thinking about what to do with the record, we were like, well, the song that resonates the most, it means the most to all of us, is Part of Me. Mm-hmm. And the main lyrics in Part of Me, obviously it's just a part of me. And that was like something that resonated heavily because we wrote the whole record during the pandemic. So we went through hell to get this record finished, to put it loosely at that point. So yeah, that's it took to get to that final like feeling and mantra for the record. It probably took us like about a month to like really grasp what we thought of it. Okay. So that's pretty much how long it took to get to that point.
All right, that makes sense. So can you tell me a little bit about your writing process for this record?
Okay, so this record, we landed in LA on February 29th of 2020. So 2 weeks before the national shutdown.
Yeah.
And we started working on the record. We had a couple writing sessions before that we went out to LA for. We've worked with the same producers since the beginning of the band. We've worked with other producers as well, like on Breaking Point. Half the record was done by a different producer, but we work with this producer, Zach Jones. He's in LA. He's absolutely killing it right now. And he has basically been like our rock. Like he's like unofficial member of the band, basically. Like he's just as important to us as like the rest of the band is. And we landed in LA on the 29th. We started writing the record, and then obviously panic started to set in, and being in LA during that was insane because there was like no traffic and no one on the roads. Wow. And it was terrifying. Couldn't even buy a mask. Like there was no masks anywhere. Like, so we were just going at it with no masks, trying to like not get sick.
Yeah.
And we got about 2.5 weeks done. We were supposed to be there for 6 weeks. We got 2.5 weeks done. Then we were forced to come home. Mm-hmm. And then our producer flew to Florida for like 2 weeks in June of 2020. And we got more of the record done, but it was also during the time of the protests and George Floyd. So there was a lot of other things that took precedence at that time for us. So, we didn't finish the record at that time as we planned to. So we went back to LA one more time in September of last year and finished everything up, got everything done. And yeah, it was just a very long process, a lot of FaceTime sessions and Zoom sessions to like work on the record and stuff too. But the process was just insane, honestly. When we think back at it, like I know a lot of people wrote music during the pandemic, but like we were literally everywhere trying to get this record done.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Well, hopefully the next time you guys go to put a record together, a global pandemic doesn't happen. You can just bang it out in one go.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes, but honestly, at the same time, I feel like it really made this record as good as it is because we had a lot of time to reflect on things that we like didn't like, or what we did like, or what we wanted more of or less of. And it ended up landing us with much better songs in the long run, I think. Would I ever want to do it again like that? Absolutely not. But it definitely was a different experience than like trying to cram in like an entire record in, just one sitting. So it was definitely an interesting experience, to say the least.
Hell yeah.
Okay. So besides the global pandemic part, do you think you would try to give yourself more time with the record next time you make it? Make another one, I guess.
Um, I mean, I think that if we were there the whole time and we didn't have the pandemic to worry about and everything else, I think we would have been fine and it would have been finished in time. It wasn't like we were behind or anything. It was just like towards the end of the second, or I guess the second half week, I guess. We were taking like 2-3 hour breaks because we were trying to figure out if we had to go home, and our producer had just moved to LA with his wife, so they were terrified. They barely know anyone there other than music people, and they're like, do we drive back across the country and stay with my parents while this is going on? So we were all just trying to figure out logistics of how to get out of there, and they were talking about like shutting down the airports and stuff at that time, so we were like, if we get stuck here, we're screwed. We can't go anywhere.
Glad that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I mean, at least you guys are still in the States, because we talked to someone today who was in South America when the world was shutting down.
Yeah.
So
that's
like
one of my good friends was actually in Bali, I think Bali, when the pandemic was setting in, but Bali had like no cases at the time. So they got back in time, but I couldn't imagine like seeing your country shutting down and like, am I going to be able to get back?
Exactly. Am I stuck here?
So how'd the track list for the album come about? Did you write the opener to be the opener and the closer be a closer, or did you just kind of shuffle it and that's how it came to be?
So we are very meticulous when it comes to track listing, and I'm sure when you listen through the record, like it kind of ebbs and flows like very well, in my opinion. And when we wrote the opening track, Misfit Anthem, it wasn't intended to be the first song, but when we like the second we finished that song, we literally all at that time we all looked at each other and we were just like, it's going to be the opening song on the record. And the ending song on the record, obviously, when you listen to it, it just fades out in a very cool way. So I just feel like it just made total sense for it to end where it ended, and that's just how we came about getting that all done. And I'm sorry, I meant Wasting Time. When we wrote Wasting Time, it just came together. Like once we finished it, we're like, this is going to be the opening track to the record. And that was the first song we actually finished for the record too. So it's kind of funny that that's how it ended up.
That's awesome. It's good. So what song took the longest to write off the album, and which one is your personal favorite?
Okay, so my personal favorite song on the album is Pure, for sure. That's no question about it. That's by far my favorite song. And I went through a war with our label and the rest of the band thinking that it should be a single, but in the end it didn't end up being one. But the song that probably took the longest, and it wasn't because it was hard to write, was probably Envy, because Envy has like a really cool story, because every day, like the last hour of the day in the studio, we would just go back and work on it. And there was not we had like no like direction that we were specifically going into at that time, other than the fact that we were playing that game Doom Eternal a bunch, and we're like, we want this to sound crazy. So that was like the whole point of it. But that song probably took the longest to write, just because we worked on it like hour by hour each day. When it comes to like a full song, I think that the song that probably took the longest was Miles Away, because it's a very emotionally charged song. So there was points where it was very hard for Tyler to get through what he was trying to do and get everything written for it. So that would probably be the one that I would say took the longest when it comes to like actual work into the song.
All right. So where was your headspace at while you guys were writing this album?
Well, I mean, I'm sure when you listen to like Wasting Time and Burn It Down, like you can tell that we were very emotionally charged with what was going on at the time, with the pandemic shutting everything down and seeing all of our hard work for the last year just disappear, and tours getting canceled and everything. So, and all over things that were very easily avoidable if people can just listen to some simple rules and things to do. But that the headspace for the record, it just depends on what time period you speak of, because like, when we wrote Part of Me, we had the plan for that song to be the follow-up to Broken Home, if you've listened to our last record. And so that time when we were writing that song, it was like a very somber time. And then towards the end of the record, Tyler went through a breakup, and that's where we ended up with Miles Away. So that was just like a tough time for him as well. So it honestly, it really depends on which recession you ask about is where the headspace was at the time. Cause like the first session we were very angry, and then like the last session we were like very sad. So it's like a little balance there at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Everywhere. So how do you recommend your fans to listen to this record for the first time? Should they turn off the lights, put on some headphones, and just kind of be immersed? Should they put it on a party? Should they go on a road trip with friends to listen to it? What do you recommend?
My personal recommendation is you have to listen to this album front to back. Like no random, no skips, no shuffle. You have to listen to it front to back because, like I said, I think that the track listing just came out like perfect when you listen through. And I mean, it really just depends on what kind of mood you're in. Like, I think it's great to drive to. So I would definitely recommend it for a road trip. I also think it's like really cool to just like zone out to and listen to and put on some headphones and just lay on your couch and just let the roller coaster take you. So that's how I feel about it, but definitely a front to back listen, in my opinion.
All right.
Makes sense.
So this question should be super, super quick off the top of your head. I want you to describe this album for new listeners in 3 words, no more, no less.
In 3 words?
Yes.
Angry, aggressive, and emotional.
Ooh,
that's good.
Good job. So what is your favorite memory that you made while creating this record?
That's a hard one. There's a couple really good ones. I think one of the best ones was when we were writing the record, we took a night off in LA right before the pandemic set in, and we went to emo night out there. And worst place to go, obviously, right where this is setting in. But
yeah,
there was no mandates or anything yet, so we went to emo night to see The Word Alive. We've toured with them a couple times. They're phenomenal dudes, and we went to hang out with them, and it was just such a good night. Like the vibes were just like perfect. And then we went in the studio next day and knocked out like 3 songs in one day. So that was just like such a good vibe. Also, like the first night when we were in LA, we met up with our producer because he's also like one of our best friends. So like, and we got to hang out with him and just talk about what we wanted to do with the record. That was phenomenal. And then obviously another thing that was like emotionally charged for us was we all went together to one of the protests when George Floyd died, and that was a crazy feeling to see like thousands of people walking across 95 in our area, which is like the main highway, and it's like insane to us. But yeah, I mean, there's just like so many memories. I think my favorite memory will always be Zach's dog, because his dog's awesome. He hangs out in the studio with us.
So all that stuff, just to be like, oh yeah, but the dog, the dog's my favorite.
It was pretty cool.
Which I completely get, because dogs are amazing. So it's good.
So picture this: you're on tour, you're at a gas station for a rest stop. What is your snack of choice?
They always make fun of me for this. I exclusively drink sparkling water unless I drink regular water. So it would be
glory.
Peach Perrier or actually, no, not anymore. It is a Topo Chico.
Okay.
It would be a Topo Chico, pumpkin seeds, lightly salted, the lightly salted ones, and then a Milky Way.
Oh, dude, Milky Ways are the best.
It's the only chocolate bar.
Yeah, and also sparkling water is also the best. So
yes,
good choice.
It has to be freezing cold though. If it gets warm, throw it away.
No, especially like room temperature. Like,
oh, it's the worst.
Yeah, it has to be cold. Got a point there. So I know this album isn't even out yet, but are you guys working on anything new that you could tell us about?
So we haven't started working on anything new just yet, just because like this process was painstaking for us. And it's not even that we love recording. We love working on new music. We love everything. It's just like after we finally got the whole record done, we were like, we need to just get this record out first and get back to touring because it's been so long. But we have a few writing sessions booked for the end of the year. So we'll be getting back out to LA then and getting started on some new stuff. And that's pretty much where we're going to be at after this. So that's our plans for now.
All right.
Okay.
And then where do you see the band in the next 5 years?
Well, we recently came into like a new team for the band. We kind of restructured like who we work with and stuff like that. So everything that's happened since we've done that has been insane. So hopefully we are in a bus headlining in the next 5 years and hopefully playing some pretty big venues. And hopefully by 5 years, we've hit Australia and Japan and some other places because we want to nail all the continents. So we could say that we've been everywhere. That's like our biggest goal.
All right.
See
you
that's
guys
good.
headlining Antarctica in the next 5 years.
I think Metallica is the only band that's ever played there.
Well,
are you serious?
Why not become number 2?
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. There's only like 300 scientists there, so that's pretty much your crowd.
So for the last couple questions, we're actually going to shift away from music, if that's okay with you.
That's fine.
Cool. For the boom, you're on death row. What would your last meal be with a drink?
Okay, so can I give you 2 answers?
Yes.
I'll give you
Sure.
the realistic one and then the one that's not realistic. Realistic one would be a Chipotle bowl, no question.
Okay.
And with the drink, it would have to be, I would probably have to do a Topo Chico. It's sad to say, but that would probably be my, but the unrealistic one would be like a Wagyu filet.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically from Bourbon Steak in Nashville, one of my favorite restaurants. And if I did that, then it would be like an old fashioned, like a whiskey old fashioned or something like that. Probably that would be my choice.
Okay. All right. Both amazing choices.
So if you could live in one fiction world for a week, where would you live?
If I could live in one fiction world for a week, that's actually an amazing question. I don't. I would want to live somewhere I would want to live in Asgard as long as I have powers as well. I would want to live in Asgard.
Yeah.
That would be my choice.
All right. Thor or Loki? Which one's like
Thor.
your favorite?
Thor 100%, but Loki is equally phenomenal, but Thor is my favorite Avenger. So that's like,
that's fair.
Yeah, that's like a no contest for me. I think Ragnarok's the best movie in the entire MCU. So.
It is one of the best ones, 100%. Have you seen the new Loki series?
Absolutely. I watched it religiously. I thought it was phenomenal. I think it was done so well.
Yep.
I'm glad that they took their time on it. I think all of the new MCU shows have been great, but I think Loki smoked the rest of them.
Oh,
so
100%.
So,
yeah. It had a lot more depth than all the other ones. Like, all the other ones were great, but Loki, it just kept blowing my mind every single episode.
Yes, and I think that the episodes, specifically episode 4, I don't want to like give any spoilers, but when they first get to the void or whatever, I feel like that was like the first episode of any of these Marvel shows that were like on par with like Endgame or like an Avengers actual movie, like the quality of the episodes, you know what I mean?
100%. Amazing series.
Yes, it was so good.
Really, I can't wait. You heard season 2 is happening, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm counting down the days. So excited. Anyways, I have the honor of asking the last question. Every single person we've spoken to has actually said it is the most important question.
Okay.
What is your favorite color?
I would definitely say that the fictional question was probably the best question. But favorite color for me, it's weird. I go through like different phases with colors. Currently, I have been like super into like pale red, like coral, like almost. Yeah. I have a hat. I can't get it. It's all the way over there. But I have I just got a new hat and I love that color, but I don't know. I go through phases. I guess it's like cliche to say black because that's like basically what I wear all the time. But yeah, like a coral color has been like my new favorite recently.
All right.
Solid.
So as Glory said, that's all the questions we have today. Is there anything that you'd like to plug?
I would like to plug that our record comes out on August 13th. Part of Me will be out via Hopeless Records. We just got the vinyls in and they're beautiful. So pre-order if you can. And we cannot wait to be back out there. And we have our CD release in August 15th. And then we play Rebel Rock in Orlando on September 24th.
All right.
Beautiful.
Well, thank you for now. This has been Andrew from Afterlife, and we've been the Good Noise Podcast.